Imagine waking up one morning and realizing the most powerful rocket ever built is quietly sitting on a launch pad, fully assembled, fueled by decades of ambition, trillions of dollars in dreams, and a promise humanity made to itself half a century ago. And almost no one is paying attention, because right now, NASA's mega moon rocket has arrived at the launch pad for Artemis II. And this moment might secretly be one of the most important turning points in modern human history. But here's the strange part. This mission isn't really about the moon. Not the way you think. And once you understand what's actually happening behind this launch, you may never look at space exploration, global power, or the future of humanity the same way again. For decades, space travel felt like nostalgia. Old footage, black and white clips, grainy images of astronauts bouncing slowly across gray dust while the world moved on. The Apollo era ended, and people quietly assumed the moon chapter was finished forever. Humanity had visited, planted flags, took photos, and left. But that assumption was wrong, because in the background, behind headlines about social media, politics, and daily life, something massive was being rebuilt, piece by piece. Something slow, expensive, and incredibly deliberate. A new space race. And now, for the first time, we can physically see it standing on the launch pad. The Space Launch System, the SLS. The most powerful rocket NASA has ever created. Taller than the Statue of Liberty, more thrust than Saturn V, a machine designed not just to visit the moon, but to make it part of human territory. And that is where the real story begins. Because Artemis II is not a test flight. It is a message, a signal, a declaration that humanity is returning to deep space, this time with very different goals. To understand why this matters, we need to rewind 50 years. In 1969, Apollo 11 landed on the moon and shocked the world. It wasn't just a scientific victory, it was geopolitical theater, a demonstration of power during the Cold War. The United States and the Soviet Union weren't just competing for space exploration. They were competing for global influence, technological dominance, and ideological superiority. When Neil Armstrong stepped onto the lunar surface, the message was clear. Whoever controls space, controls the future. But then something strange happened. After Apollo 17 in 1972, the moon mission stopped. No permanent bases, no mining, no long-term presence. Humanity simply left. For decades, this decision confused historians, engineers, and dreamers. Why walk away from the moon after investing so much? The official explanation was cost. Political priorities changed. The Cold War shifted. Public interest faded. But in reality, the pause created a vacuum. A 50-year silence. And in that silence, new players began preparing for their own lunar ambitions. China, Russia, private companies, international coalitions. Quietly, slowly, the moon transformed from a historical destination into a future resource. Because scientists discovered something extraordinary hiding in the lunar soil. Water ice, frozen water, trapped in permanently shadowed craters near the moon's poles. At first glance, this sounds simple, but in space exploration, water changes everything. Water means drinking water for astronauts. Water means oxygen for breathing. Water means hydrogen for rocket fuel. Suddenly, the moon wasn't just a place to visit. It became a potential fuel station for missions deeper into the solar system, a gateway to Mars, a refueling stop for deep space travel. And whoever builds the first permanent infrastructure there gains an enormous advantage. This is the first major reveal of the story. Artemis II isn't about planting flags. It's about building the first step of a long-term space economy. And now, standing on the launch pad, the SLS rocket represents the beginning of that shift. Imagine the scene. Dawn breaks over Kennedy Space Center. The sky glows with soft, orange light. Engineers walk silently beneath towering structures of steel and fuel lines. The rocket stands motionless, taller than any surrounding building, white and orange against the sky. It looks alive, waiting. And inside this rocket sits the Orion spacecraft, the capsule that will carry astronauts farther from Earth than any human has traveled since. 1972. Artemis II will send astronauts around the moon and back. No landing yet, just a journey. A proving mission. but emotionally, symbolically, politically, it changes everything. Because once humans leave low Earth orbit again, the psychological barrier is broken forever. Here's where the second reveal begins to emerge. Space exploration is no longer just about science. It is about economics. Because the global space economy is expected to exceed $1 trillion in the coming decades. Satellites, mining, manufacturing, tourism, communication, defense, space is becoming the next major frontier of wealth and power. And the moon is the first stepping stone. Governments know this. Corporations know this. Investors know this. The Artemis program is not just NASA's dream. It is a coalition of nations and companies preparing for the largest expansion of human activity beyond Earth in history. More than 20 countries are participating. Private companies are building landers, habitats, and logistics systems. This is not Apollo 2.0. This is something much bigger. Something designed to last. And that brings us back to the launch pad. Because Artemis II is the moment the world sees the plan becoming real. The astronauts chosen for this mission understand the weight of history on their shoulders. They are not just flying to the moon. They are reopening the road to deep space. Imagine the moment of launch. Engines ignite, the ground shakes. The sky turns white with fire and smoke. Millions of pounds of thrust push the rocket upward as slowly, almost reluctantly, the SLS rises into the air. The sound reaches spectators seconds later, like thunder chasing lightning. People cheer. Some cry. Cameras capture the moment from every angle, but the most powerful moment happens in silence. Inside the capsule, as Earth begins to shrink beneath the astronauts. Because for the first time in 50 years, humans are leaving Earth's protective bubble again. The third major reveal is emotional, almost philosophical. Humanity is becoming a multi-world species. Not today, not tomorrow, but this launch is one of the first irreversible steps toward that future. Every civilization in history has expanded its horizons, from villages to cities, from continents to oceans. Now, the horizon is space, and Artemis II is the beginning of the next chapter. Yet beneath the excitement lies uncertainty. Space travel is dangerous, expensive, unpredictable. Every launch carries risk. Every mission pushes technology to its limits. Engineers know this. Astronauts know this. But exploration has always required courage. The same courage that pushed ships across unknown oceans centuries ago. The same courage that drove early aviators into the sky. Now, that courage is pointed toward the moon once again. The Orion spacecraft will travel hundreds of thousands of miles from Earth, loop around the moon, and return at speeds faster than any human has traveled before. The mission will test life support systems, navigation, communication, and deep space endurance. It is a rehearsal for future lunar landings, a stepping stone toward Artemis III, where astronauts will walk on the moon again. This time, including the first woman and the first person of color. The symbolism matters. The message matters. Space exploration now belongs to all humanity. And as the rocket disappears into the sky, a new question begins forming in the minds of millions watching from Earth. What comes next? Lunar bases, Mars missions, asteroid mining, space manufacturing. The possibilities stretch decades into the future. But every future begins with a single launch. And this launch has already happened. The rocket is already on the pad. Waiting, the countdown has already begun. And somewhere, right now, engineers are running final checks. Astronauts are training. Controllers are preparing, because soon, the engines will ignite. And when they do, humanity will take another step away from the planet that has been our only home for all of history. The moon will no longer be a distant object in the night sky. It will become a destination again. A workplace. A gateway. A beginning. And the most fascinating part of this story is that we are alive to witness it. Future generations will read about this era in textbooks. They will watch archived footage of these launches and wonder what it felt like to live during the moment humanity returned to the moon. Just as we watch Apollo footage today, just as we wonder what it felt like to witness the first steps on another world. The Artemis era is not a distant future story. It is happening now. Quietly, gradually, powerfully. And the rocket standing on the launch pad is proof. Because history rarely announces itself loudly. Sometimes it waits quietly at dawn, painted white and orange, towering against the sky, ready to rise when the countdown reaches 0. And when that moment arrives, the sky will light up, the ground will tremble, and humanity will once again reach for the moon. This is not the end of the journey. It is the beginning of a much bigger one. And the real question is no longer whether we will return to the moon. The real question is how far we will go next. This is AED ID, and the countdown has already begun.